And we should be live on YouTube. So I hit the button. It says streaming.
Yeah, well, streaming? What?
You got it?
No, it's still look.
It's because you've got some latency issues where you're at.
Okay, it starts. Okay.
Trust me, I just heard myself speaking.
You just heard yourself. Okay.
Let me see if I can hear you. It says streaming.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can see it.
I've got you. We've got audio. Wow, this is a first. This might be a first in the patrons chat history. After all these years, we finally got my audio working without issue, and the desktop audio, which is all of your guys' stream, working without issue.
And that's
wow.
That's okay. Now we got aliens.
Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
You know aliens.
Yeah, we got aliens in the room. Help! Ripley, come kill the aliens. Where's Ripley when you need her?
Yeah, in the chat, we've already got YouTube commenters without an umlaut at least. Okay.
Umlaut? Who's umlaut? What's umlaut?
What you been up to, Dark Zero? Let's go ahead and get into some Linuxy stuff.
Okay.
Unless you haven't done anything Linuxy, non-Linuxy stuff's okay too.
Yeah. Just working on Linux as usual. Figuring out the hybrid graphics stuff for some users. Without the hardware, I cannot test. So I'm just figuring out what I can do without testing. Just what do I need to include, what not to include, and having my eyes opened because recently I realized that me as a distro maintainer, not Zero Linux. I'm not going to talk about Zero Linux itself. It's not a place to talk about that. But me as a distro maintainer, I was reacting to users in a certain way, which was unbecoming of a distro maintainer, let's just say.
You were in a negative state of mind.
Yeah, very negative state of mind, and this was brought to me, and me and the guys, we had a 5-hour brutally honest session, and you know the type of honesty that makes you want to cry sometimes. But it was all true, and I admitted to all that. And today I published a whole apology letter to all my users. And this is something that takes, as they say, takes a lot. Takes, well, I don't know how else to say it. Takes balls to do. So it took every ounce of effort from my end to write this apology letter to the public, but I did apologize and explain the situation, and now I have to change my attitude, but something positive did happen. I, as a distro maintainer, or I, as a Linux user, will be coming back to YouTube in 2024 better than ever, with 3 videos a week, constantly. Monday, Wednesday.
Good luck with that.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. A video on Monday, Wednesday a live, and Friday another video.
Yeah. Well, don't be surprised, especially when you're doing Linux-related content, if some of those videos that you plan don't work out quite the way.
No, I'm not. I don't have expectations. I'm going.
You're going to run into technical difficulties when you're trying to keep a strict schedule. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of things that don't work out quite on schedule.
I haven't done YouTube in almost a year, so yeah. But I will be bringing a variety of Linux content.
And sometimes the technical difficulties don't even have anything to do with necessarily what you're talking about as far as the content or any kind of the software or the hardware you're doing on camera. A lot of times it just, you took an Arch update that day and half your programs no longer work, like what's going on with my computer this morning.
Yep. And
Which I'm going to try to fix it this afternoon. I didn't want to dive too deep into it this morning before the stream because I knew OBS at least launched. So I knew I could start the stream.
Hey, and audio worked perfectly too.
And the Pulse audio is working today. That's weird.
Don't touch anything. Don't turn it off. Don't restart.
I'm not hitting any knobs. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. So I'll be bringing a variety of Linux content. I'm not going to stick to the Zero Linux bubble. I'm bursting that bubble finally. And as Jeff said, it takes guts. That's it. It takes guts to do this. And I'll try to tackle as many subjects as I can, because by maintaining a distro, I encountered so many problems, and I have a lot of guides written up on my forum. I can turn those into video.
Yeah.
Hey, I had an economics professor in college, and he said the number one rule about business to think about: no problem, no profit.
Yeah. And Paulo, no Zero Linux content, not anymore. Done with that. Because Zero Linux is just is now a distro that's constantly evolving. But I learned,
just turn it into a vlog channel.
Yeah, I'll have shorts as well. I'll try to have. I'm gonna try to have shorts every morning, so 5 days a week. I'll have shorts. But Zero Linux content, it's what I learned through while working on Zero Linux that I'll make videos out of without making them about Zero Linux. It's
well, I mean, you can use Zero Linux as your Linux base, and you don't necessarily have to say directly what it is, but just use it.
Well,
examples.
You do run into this issue. Like I get this this comment all the time. Like, why are all my videos about Arch Linux? It's like, well, my videos aren't about Arch Linux, about Linux. Yeah, but you use Arch. Yeah, but
exactly.
Okay.
I was told the same thing. Why are all your videos about KDE? Well, because I use KDE. That's what I use.
So all your KDE videos should use GNOME. That's the way to solve that.
I'm gonna give a sneak peek or a hint of what's coming. Something around Hyperland. I'll be doing something on video for my first live. It will be something revolving around Hyperland. I will not go into details about how or what or whatever. It's just going to be revolving around Hyperland, and maybe I'm going to open up and become more open-minded and try Hyperland before I talk about it. So we'll do that live on stream. That way, maybe I'll change my mind about it. Who knows? I keep talking about Hyperland without even having tried it.
No, well, yeah, that's another thing with the community. Like, I have an NVIDIA card, so I'm not even worried about any of the Wayland stuff just yet. Plus, my workflow. I mean, the window managers that I like to use are all still Xorg. So, and what people don't understand is, well, why don't you switch to Wayland? Wayland's so awesome. Well, I'm not having problems on Xorg. Why would I completely wreck my workflow and have to go through all the hours of customizing new window managers and changing things for what? Like, at the end of the day, what benefit? If, for example, I know GNOME works pretty well on Wayland, and even GNOME with NVIDIA on Wayland might be okay on my home computer. Yep. I don't want to run GNOME. I'd quit using Linux if GNOME was. No, I would, but honestly, that's not the way I want to use my computer, right?
I think most people are going to adopt as soon as at the least possible time, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think most people are just waiting for more options. There just has to be more than just GNOME and KDE. Yeah, and that's the problem right now. Is And even KDE is not great with Wayland yet. They still lag way behind what GNOME's doing with it. I mean, it makes sense though, because it's the same people, GNOME and Wayland. It's all the Red Hat team pushing both GNOME and Wayland. So it kind of makes sense that they're going to be ahead of the game on that.
Yeah, I mean even non-Linux options like Open Indiana and some of these other things are still using either, GNOME 2.0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to have all the other Unix stuff, all the BSD stuff. I mean, they're not adopting Wayland. So,
yeah. There's
although there is work for Wayland on FreeBSD, though.
Yeah. And
yeah, it'll probably take another 10 years to get to where we're at already.
No, they'll have that done before the Wi-Fi driver things.
They still working on getting Electron apps to work? Because last time I tried BSD, that was still an issue.
Yeah, well, the situation with NVIDIA and Wayland, I am on Wayland, KDE, NVIDIA right now, talking to you guys. I can share windows on Discord, share screens and everything on OBS, no problem. They've been KDE Plasma and NVIDIA and Wayland. They have been working together, not together, but Wayland and KDE have been working together. But NVIDIA has been working on its own. But they fixed with the latest version of the NVIDIA drivers. I'm just gonna say, God damn, it's beautiful. It's so smooth, and all the visual glitches are gone, all of them. Like they obliterated all my issues with visual glitches. The dock doesn't freeze anymore. Nothing freezes, and it feels like a cohesive experience. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because there are still applications that do not support Wayland. Mainly for people who want to play AAA games and have no issues, better go to X11, because Wine itself, although games that use Wine or Proton, better to play them on X11, because Wine itself is not Wayland ready. It's getting there, but maybe another year to get it to a usable state. But that's to say that X11 is not going anywhere anytime soon. For people who still rely on X11, they shouldn't worry too much. Okay,
yeah.
Wayland is coming. Wayland is work is coming along very fast, but it doesn't mean that X11 is going away anytime soon. Some distros are gonna kill it, but it's by choice. It's their choice. It's not that X11 will completely stop working. If users really want X11, they can reinstall it and bring it back, no problem. Okay, it's going to be an archived project or a non-maintained project, but it still works.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I mean, obviously, the people that are maintaining it now say it's gonna eventually be unmaintained, but somebody will still have to maintain it, because again, it's not just Linux that's using X11. There are going to be other Unix-like operating systems that are going to be using X11.
Yep. It's like
well into the future. way.
Contributions at best. There won't. The current maintainers won't be maintaining it for much longer. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah, so it'll have to be other people to. And honestly, the current maintainers aren't doing much with it. It's kind of in maintenance mode for the most part, anyway.
It is in maintenance mode. That's the official statement, from what I know. It's maintenance mode at best.
I can't wait for the protest distros. In 5 years.
Well, we have the protest distros have existed since the beginning of Linux distros. I mean, from the very first forks, the reason they were forked is because of out of protest for what the mother distributions, all these hundreds of Debian distributions, probably 10% of them started out of protest for something that Debian itself was doing or some other fork of Debian was doing, and then they forked it from the fork.
Yeah, it's like systemd protest distros like
and Dev1 and all that. Yeah,
there will be certain stuff like that, and also the there's projects like XFCE who are still not on Wayland, and they're getting there, but
well, you're definitely going to have, and I understand that. Like if you're using a desktop environment, I mean, we still have really ancient desktop environments and window managers that are 20 years old, 20 years plus And people still love running things like Enlightenment, for example, has a small but very passionate fan base, and you're gonna have those people that are going to stick with that, and that's fine. I wouldn't say that's necessarily out of protest. They love something and they want to use it.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
It's completely different than the Arctics and Devon crowd. They're much more negative about the way they're going about things, where if you just love something, want to stick with it, you're passionate about it. That's a different kind of mentality.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's still utility. I mean, to it. I mean, it's maintained. I mean, yeah, there was a period where it wasn't as maintained, but I mean, they're working on Wayland support for Enlightenment, and you can use it on.
Are they?
FreeBSD.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, you can use it on FreeBSD. You can use it on multiple things. So it's very portable.
it'll be interesting if Enlightenment has Wayland support before Cinnamon and Mate and things like that.
Who knows? It might happen.
No.
You don't think? I don't think it'll happen either.
No,
No,
there is a very specific reasons why.
Yeah.
For Mate and Cinnamon, as long as they have GTK3 support, all they need is to properly tie in a Wayland compositor, and at that point, with very minimal changes, they're gonna be fully Wayland supported.
Yeah, I didn't think about the toolkit that Enlightenment is using, how that would work with Wayland. I guess that would present some problems.
Yeah.
So you pretty much have to be GTK or Qt, right?
Basically, at current point, GTK or Qt or something bespoke that you maintain yourself that you Wayland enabled.
Now speaking of Enlightenment, I just got a message because I used to be a supporter on Patreon of them. There's a newer version of eLive CD. I know you had reviewed that for a while, and
I actually purchased the premium edition of it a few years back. I did a video. I think I've done a couple of videos on it, and because I purchased it before I'm on their email list, they always send me an email when they have a new release. So I did get the email, but I haven't taken a look at the latest version.
Yeah, they've got if you want to see a nice version of it, other than all the screenshots that you can see of like stuff from like 10, 15, 20 years ago. This is eLive is a great thing to look at some of the screenshots of what you can do with Enlightenment if there's interest there. So,
well, now that we've got a few folks here before the stream started, and it was just me and Steve Dark Zero here, I was mentioning I was having some computer problems. Let me describe the problem this morning. So I ran a Pac-Man SYU yesterday. I don't know, I had like 500 packages update, which is not unusual on my machine because I have a lot of packages installed, like 2,300 packages. Yeah, probably 200 of the 500 packages were Haskell libraries, which won't matter in this case. So 300 packages, let's call it that. And then I rebooted the machine. It rebooted just fine. And then I left the office yesterday. Get here today. My email client won't open. It says complaining about something, which I thought was weird. And then I was opening a file manager. I always keep a file manager open when I record because I want to see the files created as I press record. PCman FM will not open. I try to launch it from a terminal to get an error message. It's just a segmentation fault. Thunar will not open. I was like, why is both my file managers, graphical file managers, not opening? I installed Nautilus to see if it would open. It also fails to open. I installed Dolphin to see if it would open. So I was like, okay, why are all these file managers not working? And finally, I was like, I really want a graphical file manager. So, because it's just part of my workflow when I'm recording. So what I did is I went to the Snap store. And file managers are kind of popular programs, right? Big, important programs. You'd think they would be snapped or in flat packs or app images, but literally, there was only one file manager that's actually packaged as a snap, and it is KDE's Dolphin. And I don't know if it's the KDE team that actually did that, but I did a snap install Dolphin, and the snap version of Dolphin is the only file manager that works on my computer today. So that's just cursed. The fact that, for one thing, it's KDE. Luckily, I don't have to worry about dependencies since it is in its container anyway. It's a snap version of Dolphin. That's what I'm using for my file manager until I fix the problem this afternoon.
I can explain why you're having the issue. They Arch updated the AppStream package.
Is that it? Well, that doesn't make sense because I have the same packages essentially installed on this computer as my home computer. My home computer is fully updated too. Does not have that issue.
Well, did you check if you got the package from what's his name, Eric? Since you're using Arco, right? Eric pushed.
Yeah, you're right. It could be from a different repo, but I'm using Arco on both computers. But you're right. I do play with my pacman.conf sometimes. Who knows what I've got enabled as far as.
Yeah, there's a package called libadwaita without adwaita.
Libadwaita without it? What?
Yeah, libadwaita without adwaita. It's a package that patches adwaita to be able to use themes for GTK, to apply GTK3 themes to GTK4 apps, basically.
I actually do not have lib. What's the package?
Libadwaita.
I don't have it installed.
You don't have libadwaita? Anything with libadwaita?
That's weird. You know what? That could. I wonder if things got removed. I did an update. Maybe it wanted to remove some conflicting stuff or something. Yeah. It removed something that has boogered my system.
Yeah, there's because I maintain libadwaita without adwaita on my repositories. There was an update to AppStream 1.0 from 0.64, which broke everything. I wasn't able to open any file manager just as you described.
Okay, I just installed libadwaita, and the other one you said was
libadwaita without
adwaita. Okay, which is in conflict with the standard.
Yeah, you have to install that one. You have to install that one. It removes libadwaita, and then everything would work because it will bring everything compatible.
And they're still not launching the file managers. I wonder if it.
Try to install try run pacman-s. AppStream.
Yeah, I can try that one as well.
Because that issue, I don't know what happened with apps. Even Pamac stopped working because of AppStream update.
What error do you get when you open it?
I have AppStream installed. The error is different depending on what shell I'm in, but I'm in the fish shell right now. If I launch PCManFM, I get file glib/go/gfilenfo.c should not be reached. PCManFM terminated by signal sig address boundary error.
So it's not AppStream related. It has nothing to do with AppStream. That's weird. Because the other one is called libappstream.so. It has to be version 6.
I do this PCManFM from the bash shell. Let's see if it gives me... No, it gives me the same complaint about glib, gfilenfo.c. Segmentation fault, though, is now the error. Segmentation fault, core dumped. But again, that doesn't really...
it's not AppStream.
That doesn't give me any real information, so...
Yeah, this is a different issue because the recent one that happened to me, I wasn't able to open any GTK application. Any GTK application.
But remember, I installed the Dolphin file manager, and it also because I was thinking it was a GTK problem too. That's why I installed Dolphin just to verify. Dolphin.
That's weird.
Wouldn't run either. That's as a snap. Apparently, Dolphin runs just fine.
See, the containerized applications do rescue you from.
You know what? You know what? I have always resisted installing Dolphin as a file manager on anything that wasn't KDE Plasma because it has dependencies.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So honestly, when you run them in a container like a snap or a flatpak or ab image, no problem. Now you don't have to worry about that. Like I didn't install a whole bunch of KDE crap on my computer. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, did you install all the dependencies?
No. Well, when I tried the native package, I did, but then I uninstalled all of it too. Yeah.
RCNS.
You know, one thing you could do, I know you don't like installing Nix on your native system, but you can install it in VirtualBox and use VirtualBox Nix to create air app images. I've got app images for all the common file managers created through that.
Yeah, I guess file managers are a complicated kind of program to put in those package formats because I was kind of shocked that there wasn't like Nautilus and Nemo and things. None of that is snapped or flat packed.
It is not that this is hard to do. It's actually fairly easy. Problem is that if you want to snap them or flat pack them or whatever, you basically have to break the whole sandbox.
Yes.
Right.
So what's the point at that point?
Exactly, because
the point is it actually runs on my computer right now. But yeah, I get the idea. It's not for security reasons. It doesn't have the benefits that it should.
Although I am shocked it isn't Nautilus isn't on Snap Store, because
it blew me away because I know they snap it, right?
Yeah,
they have to for the Ubuntu Core. But why is it not on? Yeah,
Ubuntu Core desktop. Yeah, I'm surprised.
But file managers, because also they hook into the system to have the benefit of all the
right. I mean, they're obviously when you're mounting drives and things like there's so much stuff they got to connect to. It's kind of hard to throw that in a container.
And another issue is Vivaldi recently released the flatpak version of Vivaldi, but because it has to hook to a lot of things onto the system to be able to open, to become your default browser, and hook into, if you want to open links, if you click on links in Discord or whatever to open them. But because it's done so badly and it breaks the sandbox, it opens up another instance of Vivaldi to open links, and it doesn't open them correctly. And if you download a zip file, it opens yet another instance to open zip files.
Yeah, I just did a quick double check on Snapcraft FlatHub and the App Image Hub as well. The only graphical file manager that actually exists in any of those formats is KDE's Dolphin, and they actually package it in all three formats. It's available. Good job. Well, I don't know if that's officially the KDE team that worked on that, but that's interesting.
Whoever is packaging them.
Well, the solution here clearly is to install all three.
Right.
And then when you go to search for the icon in your pop-up menu, and figuring out which one is which.
And that's why also containers come in handy. And I've recently went through the rabbit hole of containers. Now I purchased a VPS, a very cheap one, $1 a month. A very cheap one, 512 megabytes of RAM, 15 gigs of storage, and 500 gigs of bandwidth, just for one thing, for Bitwarden self-hosted. That's all.
Wow, for $1 a month.
Yeah, but I have my own home lab that I set up with Docker containers managed by CasaOS. It's a local Docker container manager. So I have my comic book. I have audiobook shelf for my audiobooks. I discovered that I have 150 Star Wars audiobooks. Didn't realize that, and 90 Isaac Asimov audiobooks. So. And I have comic book collection organized that way via Docker container. I have audiobook shelf, manage everything, and I even a fan, the person who introduced me into the whole thing, the world of Dockers, Docker containers, created a Zero Linux Docker container. Don't know why, but the world of Docker containers, the world of containers is amazing. There's so many. You got Bitwarden, you got what's it called, Nextcloud. You got you got desktop environments, you got distributions, you got Amazon CDNs. You name it, you can install it. I installed like a dozen on my system, so I'm enjoying those.
Dirk, just to go back to your problem for a second here. I put your problem into the AI chatbot I'm using, uchat.com. Came up with the error message failed to obtain. No, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Got to get it. After updating Arco Linux, some users have reported errors related to the glib library. These errors can manifest in different ways, such as file retrieval errors, invalid or corrupted packages, or issues with specific applications like Steam.
Well, you know what? Before you continue,
to these errors is to downgrade the glib library to the previous version.
Yeah, I mean, that file retrieval is a problem. You know, that could explain the, I also had said my email client was having a problem. It's the file retrieval it's probably having a problem with is GPG keys. I wonder if that's...
Maybe.
But the file manager wouldn't have anything to do with GPG keys, but I don't know. It's weird. Just
maybe try downgrading glib.
Yeah, I could try that.
Yeah.
I have a correction for Dark Zero.
Yes, sir.
They are not Docker containers. They are OCI containers.
If I wasn't in the if you were talking to the old Dark Zero, you would have gotten a snarky remark. But you're talking to the new Dark Zero,
the reformed Dark Zero.
So you will get valid. So they could be called one thing, and we call them other things.
I'm gonna even explain why. OCI is the specification by which Docker and everybody else abides by.
Yeah, it could be that. I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough knowledge to know that. But thank you for the information. Now I know more.
Docker was first, and that's why most of us still refer to them as Docker containers, even though that is not per se correct.
Because that's not technically correct. Because
it's like Kleenex. It's like
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
That's what it is. Even though the correct term is OCI container.
The new reformed Dark Zero would say, I agree, because we as users tend to call things by the habitual name, the name that we get used to calling them. So the OCI images are very useful to use, and I like. I have been enjoying them.
No. And it does make sense to install servers using containers. I mean,
if you don't want to mess with your system, for example, or break your system.
Well, not even just mess. Sometimes it's just a lot easier. Like, who wants to go through the trouble of setting up a full lamp stack to install whatever, you know?
One command. I didn't really
right. We're literally it's one command. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you can. I prefer them as stacks because they give they're more detailed, and I can understand. I use something called dockage now for the VPS. Dockage is like Portainer, but a simpler version of Portainer, and has an inbuilt terminal in it.
Right.
I just run Vault Warden, which is a fork of Bitwarden. It's amazing. I can now access my passwords, and they're self-hosted. I don't need to host them on their servers. For whatever reason, if they get hacked, I'm not affected.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of hosting passwords on somebody else's servers. Because, I know all the big ones like, Bitwarden, and what was the one that got hacked recently that was...
LastPass, probably.
LastPass. And, it's the claim there was, well, we've never been hacked, so, until they are hacked, and then... now they can't say that. Now,
it really doesn't matter if they're hacked. Based on my research, the containers or more packages they send you, which has all your passwords, only gets unlocked on your site. So even if they get that
right,
they shouldn't be able to unlock.
They shouldn't be able to decrypt them and actually be able.
If you're hosting them yourself on your VPS, if Bitwarden themselves get hacked, you won't be affected because they're not hosted on their servers.
Right. Yeah, say when you're hosting it on your own machine, I mean, somebody would have to specifically target you, and they're never going to do that. But who the hell are you? What do you matter? Why are they trying to break into your server?
That's the whole reason why I'm trying to avoid anything online that is not controlled by me.
When you become when you become part of a really big group, you actually make yourself more of a target.
Exactly. So,
or you make yourself more attractive to the professionals that want to crack that stuff.
And I will give you.
I personally still use their main server. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, and I would tell people
much time from me.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of a nerd. I know most people are not going to basically store their own passwords on their own server. There's issues with that, and just convenience. It's still, I mean, I would tell people to use something like LastPass or whatever it happens to be. If the other alternative is they're just going to be lazy with their passwords and use the same password for everything, or even worse, write it down on a notepad and keep it next to your computer, please don't do that. That's not, like, so many people are in and out of your house. When you think about in the last year, if you had an electrician in your house, had a plumber in your house, have you just had anybody in your house, even unscrupulous family members maybe that you don't necessarily trust? And then you've got this notepad or, a Post-it note with a password. Now, maybe the password doesn't say what it's to, but, they probably know where you bank, for example. Get to... So I'd rather people use those online services for managing their passwords if the alternatives is going to be really lazy, just writing it down somewhere near your keyboard.
Well, I think you just eliminated like 95% of the people with your filters there.
For me, the essential problem is either I host it in cloud myself, or I host it, or they host it for me.
Yeah.
That is and honestly, what's the difference? Here I have a lot more work.
I think for a lot of normies though, people are going to use the browser's built-in password manager.
Yeah,
don't do that.
I personally wouldn't, but again, for convenience, if that's all you can do, then do it.
I disable that feature on my browser because
I don't store anything in any of my web browsers.
Yeah.
I don't even like it maintaining my browser history. I'm damn sure not going to let it have my my passwords. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I just keep in my browsers. I just keep my bookmarks. But I wanted to tell you of another thing that is very useful. It's called PairDrop. Ever heard of it?
No.
No. You know how iOS devices have something called AirDrop, which
I kind of figured it was an Apple thing.
No, it's not an Apple thing. It's a mimic of an Apple thing. If you, I'm hosting it on my own VPN.
PairDrop. It is an alcoholic beverage.
No,
it's part cognac, part limoncello liqueur. Sounds yummy.
Brave search.
Yeah, that's the Brave search coming up with a bad thing. Okay, PairDrop. Well, give me some other filters other than just the word PairDrop.
PairDrop.net. Just type that in the browser.
Okay, that's better. Because I'm going to keep getting this cocktail.
PairDrop.net. It's a
VPN?
No, PairDrop.net is you drop a file onto that window, and it's like AirDrop. It sends it to whatever device that has the same page loaded.
Well, PairDrop.net redirects to PairDrop.io, and it's PairDrop VPN. It's the name.
Oh, okay, they must have changed it. But basically, you know how AirDrop works? Let me check on
there is the OpenSUSE chameleon on the front page of PairDrop.io. That's interesting.
PairDrop.net.
They using SUSE servers?
Why is it redirecting for you? I opened it and it works.
Yeah, same.
What the hell is going on your system, DT?
Hold on. Let me do PairDrop.net. Maybe it was just the browser, the search engine redirecting me.
Yeah.
But even just typing PairDrop.net.
Something's going on your system.
It's not wanting to load. Well, that could be
something.
A nationality thing. I don't know what's...
Yeah. Anyway, it's, you know how AirDrop works on iOS devices. You share you want to share a file. You just all the people around you that are connected to the same network or 3G, whatever, that you can send the file just by dropping it, and it opens up on their device, and they can either accept or decline. Same thing. Or if you want, just go to drop.zerolinux.exe.
I see. The chat corrected me. Pair, as in like a pair of two things, not pair the fruit. That's why I was...
Oh, okay. You were typing the fruit.
Yeah. That's why I was getting the cocktail. I mean, that's why I was getting the drink.
To be changed things. Joshua, how's NixOS treating you?
Well, so you drag a file, but this one works across devices. You can do it on.
Treating him.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that it's not going well because it didn't seem like he could hear us, or.
Yeah. He installed Fedora Silverblue, and he broke it by destroying audio because he has his own wire plumber config that my guess ain't great.
Of course.
Yeah, in the YouTube chat, he tried joining, no audio. Yeah, we figured that out in about 5 seconds.
Mate, get yourself a good audio solution.
Get yourself a mixer
for you. He has like 27 inputs and outputs.
Just like Josh.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not necessarily a distro problem because honestly, it doesn't matter what distro you run. If you've got a lot of inputs and outputs with audio and video, things are bad.
Kind of weird since he has Intel Arc.
Yeah.
So each HDMI has its own output.
Oh, why would he be running that?
Because he doesn't want to buy anything else, I guess.
No. Josh, he helps the kernel out, so he tests it for the kernel, and then he sends bug reports.
Yeah, he says it's interesting. It works in Firefox, but the Zoom client has no audio. Well, the Zoom client will be an Electron app, and Firefox obviously is not. So I don't know. It could be an Electron problem.
Try
Chromium
in browser using a browser-based
So
Zoom client.
Just recompile Chromium.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't have
on Google Chromium. Or as people are tending to migrating towards Thorium, which is still on 117 when we are on 120 right now.
that basically for me makes it a no use browser automatically.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't. I've heard a little bit about it, but because I've had people message me about this Thorium browser, I haven't looked into it enough. But I have briefly looked at it enough to know if it's not coming out with updates the way every other Chromium-based browser is. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Well, I maintain it on my repositories, and the guy pushes so many updates in a single day, but they're all like unrelated updates to Chrome. It's just his tweaks and his things. Right. But it's still on 117, and when every Chromium browser is on 120, I'm like, don't use that. Don't use that.
I'm sure it has some cool features or whatever, but you got to have security first. Yeah, I mean, if you're not taking security seriously,
apparently,
and I'm not saying he's not, but I mean,
no. Apparently, according to him, he's backporting security fixes from 120 to 117.
Why then not update to 120?
Because it breaks his tweaks.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be backporting things.
Yeah, but because it breaks his own tweaks and in his own themes and in his own stuff. So I don't know.
I'm not a, when we talk about the evils of community projects versus corporate projects, when it comes to web browsers, I gotta be honest. Yeah. I don't like the little small projects. Yeah. Yeah. I know, we can crap on things like Google Chrome for being proprietary or Vivaldi, but they're probably more secure than some of the little mom and pop browsers out there. Even the free and open source browsers, some of them are actually backed by large corporations. Obviously, Brave is a corporation. It's the original founder of Firefox, actually, that's behind Brave. He's the CEO of Brave. Like I trust these people more than Joe Bob, who just forked Chromium last week, and it's the latest and greatest thing where don't be surprised 6 months down the road, this thing doesn't even exist.
Oh, hello.
That's why I always tell you guys, I never want to jump on, like I rarely do videos about things that are brand new, because I know in 6 months, 90% of these brand new shiny things that are the latest rage won't even be around. Yeah. So I don't like
actually about browsers and really anything secure is.
I don't know. LibreWolf is still around.
LibreWolf has had some lasting power. Yeah. And I'm actually surprised LibreWolf is still around.
With corporate, there's something to blame. Someone that is real and can get hurt by effing up.
So
right.
So I want to take a moment and talk about my wireframer config. I'm not doing anything super unique. I'm just disabling 20 devices.
Oh yeah, that's not super unique.
Now, what the issue was is that I was joining Zoom through Firefox, and I had YouTube. I had audio in YouTube.
No.
Audio working in Jitsi, but I don't have audio in Zoom over Firefox. So now I'm joining you guys through Chromium, which, by the way, I didn't have to compile because it was already in the Nix store.
I was about to say, if you start compiling Chromium now, you'll be finished by Tuesday.
Actually, I've got a cache in the Gen 2 package cache. So
you just go around with Chromium on a USB stick now, right? You just carry around your own.
No, I carry it in my server, and it's like a version or two out of date. So, but it would probably theoretically still work.
Yeah, I'll have a hint for you guys. I do this constantly. There are some applications that I need that don't exist on Linux. I use the Windows portable versions on Linux through Wine. Like I have a version of Chromium, that is a portable Windows version that I run on Linux. Just don't expect the hardware acceleration. It was just a test. But that's one thing
I ended up doing with the last ISO of DTOS that I pushed out earlier this month was I'm no longer going to maintain my own binary of Brave, because after they added all the AI stuff to it,
bye.
Well, I don't mind using it, but the binary now has become so big.
Yep,
like it's like 157 megabytes where it used to be like 50. It's like, oh my God, this is such a big package now. I just don't want to. I'm not dealing with it.
No,
so
keep a model.
Anybody that wants to use the Brave, just gonna have to go to the AUR until the Arch guys finally put it in the main repos.
F the AUR, install it as a Flatpak, done deal.
I've got it as an app image, the Brave browser.
Oh, I got it. I have it as a Flatpak.
Yeah. I mean, people can go that route if they want, but as far as like putting it on an ISO already installed, it's one of those. I'm not going to do that. For people can go get it if they want it, but I'm not building that binary myself anymore.
And you are not pushing the changes to your repository for whatever reason, and I cannot build the latest version, so I have to download the ISO.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to rebuild it here in another few days anyway. So you just hold off till the middle of next week. You'll probably get a new version.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brave search, the search itself, not the browser, they've added an AI feature to that called Summarize as well. So if you have a specific topic, it will come up with an AI topic on it. It's not for everything, but for major things like that.
Yeah.
Stop with all the AI things. Stop with all the AI things, please.
World ends soon enough due to AI.
And now they made.
Let's not speed it up.
And now they made.
Here's the fun thing about AI things. You see, we've always had AI. It's just that we didn't have a name for it before. Now that there's a general term that everybody basically understands, so now they can call it AI.
Right.
And that's why AI is in everything so quickly.
But now there are even containers with AI, and you can choose the AI model you want. The 60 billion.
There. You know what? I have to say though, having that AI assistant right there in my browser is kind of neat. Just quickly pull it up, ask it a question, get a quick answer.
Also, at the same time, I'm going to say I kind of find it annoying that we're calling that an AI assistant.
Yeah, I would agree. The terminology is a little weird. Also, the search results, I mean, I wouldn't trust them 100%. But
I'm using about 50%.
Yeah,
I'm using it more and more every day now. I use it for debugging. I get issues like Derek.
Yes.
And it's
or hey, give me an example of some code, or ask it, whatever, some Python. Give me an example of this in Python, and it'll spit that stuff out pretty accurately. It's when you ask it things that are not so true or false that sometimes these kinds of things get confused.
I actually do find like ChatGPT as like a fantastic world building resource for my Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, but that's really how much I use it.
Yeah, it can help you with your Magic the Gathering.
It doesn't help with Magic the Gathering because it's not Turing complete like Magic the Gathering is. But it can definitely write you a bad story, which that's more than enough for Dungeons and Dragons.
There's another thing that ChatGPT will not do. It will not help you cheat in games.
You know what? I was actually about to bring that up because I think it actually could. If this was a strategy game, you could ask it, hey, what should my next move be?
Oh, if you want to ask it that way, for me, what I meant by cheating, where can I find cheat codes for?
No. We don't go.
Steve, ChatGPT has all the cheat codes for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, any kind of a strategy game, turn-based game, like if you were playing chess or poker or something like that, you could always just fire up ChatGPT and say, here's what he's showing, here's what I got, what should I do? And I'm sure
ChatGPT is fairly bad at chess.
Yeah.
I thought computers were great at chess.
If you're using 3.5, yes, it's bad.
Not large language models.
Okay.
It is not. It doesn't actually think. It's not a deep learning. It's large language model. That's why I'm trying to say it's not AI. It's a subtopic of AI that deals with a specific.
With data that has been with data that was already fed to it previously.
No, that's all AI with data that was already fed with it. That's how all intelligences do. Catch is that what we're talking about is large language model, which basically only understands what it has written till now and what the next word should be. That's what it does essentially, and technically understands what you wrote, and then on top of that writes what it thinks it should be the answer, one word at a time.
That's fact. Changing
based on the data.
Fun fact,
that's
guys,
what large language models do.
A single Chromium tab running Zoom right now is consuming 40 gigs of my memory. But then again, I'm also being a savage and running it on a RAM disk.
Oh yeah, that's.
But I have 24 gigs remaining. We'll see how long it takes before it decides it's just going to blow itself up.
Oh, that's another program that is not working currently. When you brought that up, the RAM usage, Kdenlive for some reason is also not running as a native package on my system anymore. So that's not a big problem because I always keep app images around for Kdenlive. But when I tried to launch the app image, it's an older app image probably, but I launched it and I noticed without me adding a project or doing anything, it took 42 gigs of my RAM. I was like, yeah, that's not right. Let me close it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you give it memory, it'll take it. So even if you had like 8 gigs of RAM, it'll probably
but it shouldn't take that just opening the program. I could understand if I had a lot going on in it, but it had nothing. It's not computing anything, just opening Kdenlive, like just a blank, window with Kdenlive.
If it's just an empty canvas in Kdenlive and you haven't put like any assets into it or anything like that, it really shouldn't be taking up that much.
Exactly. That scared me because I'm like, is this thing going to try to take all of my RAM?
Now,
let me shut it down.
If you're opening an existing project that you've been working on, like say a movie release or something like
that. Like when I render a big file, it takes like 40 some odd, that's normal for that, but just opening it, I've never seen that before.
Joshy boy, I want to ask you a question. Did you get my link to the updated thing?
I did read the thing.
Yeah, it's good.
I have no opinions about it, which is why I didn't respond.
Well,
I'm very neutral on it.
Okay. Well, it's not the content of it it's not directly the content I wanted to ask you about, but the quality of how it was written, because that was ChatGPT correcting my bad English. So that's what I use ChatGPT for. ChatGPT corrects my bad English and my bad structure very well, because I wrote a letter. Josh knows what I'm talking about.
The problem is not the things that ChatGPT does well, because I think we all admit, for some things, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's the things that it gets wrong. You know, people like to spotlight the things it gets right.
I'll give you an example of something wrong it did. Like, remember how I told you I have a lot of comic books? Mm-hmm. I had one series that was made out of, I think, that had 380 plus volumes. There were a few volumes that had an underscore in the name instead of a space. You know how web naming works and whatever. So I asked ChatGPT to write me a script or give me a command that will replace the underscore with a space. Naturally, it gives me a command. It gives me a script. I tried the script. It didn't work. I tried the command. It worked. Only it stripped all the files that are renamed of all metadata and data whatsoever. I ended up with kilobytes worth of files.
Oh, yeah.
Because it stripped the file from the contents.
It didn't just do the name. It went into the metadata and removed those underscores. Yeah. Well, that's not necessarily ChatGPT's fault. You should have specified better parameters of what you were asking it, you know.
No, ChatGPT is so dumb.
I'm going to defend ChatGPT a little bit on that one, right?
You have to always, whatever it is, you have to be very, very, very.
I told it, what I asked it was, I have PDF files. I want to remove the underscore from the file name, replace it with a space. It gave me a command. I ran it. It killed my files.
And here's another thing. You shouldn't run a command if you don't know exactly what that command's, you know.
That, and if you're using a tool like ChatGPT to get an example of a command, maybe you should run that. Maybe you should always back up your file before you run the command.
Yes.
I should have done all that. But
in an ideal world, there's no such thing as a single copy of a file.
Yeah.
That's why I say even if in potential future there won't be a software engineer in a normal sense. There'll still need to be someone who will understand what code is, how code works, and what the exact code is. Because simply speaking, if you're going to run something, you're going to have to know if it actually does what you're thinking, if it doesn't actually do something bad or very, very wrong.
And for somebody that says that they're a big fan of the sed command, Steve, a simple sed substitution, all you had to do was sed and then underscore blank G for global substitution. If you already had the list of names, it just will do that. There's no reason to ask ChatGPT for that.
Basically, the reason I was asking it is because I wanted it to give me the actual sed command, because I'm a sed command fan.
S/_/space/G.
Yep. Yeah. It gave me something I didn't check, and I ran it. But anyway, I had a backup of the files. But good thing I had a backup, because previously what happened was Nextcloud nuked all my files, so I had to re-download 200 gigs worth of comic books. Mm-hmm. So I was like, no, back them up this time and just work on the on the backup. Don't work on the main files. So I had a backup and everything, but damn, ChatGPT be giving me bad commands. So I'm not gonna trust it anymore. I'm not gonna myself.
But this is one of these things that we're never going to be able to trust ChatGPT or things like it with this kind of stuff. This is not something. This is always going to be a problem, because if you give it bad parameters, or you're always going to run into these issues. Hell, half the time I'm type commands that I'm sure I know what they do, but I really didn't think it through when I run them, and there's unintended consequences. There's always going to be that. Yeah,
so I learned that. So now I don't I don't ask even ChatGPT for anything. I just ask Google and I test on test files before I do on the main files.
Yeah.
So yeah, you live and learn. And that's good content for a YouTube video. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, you make a channel out of all the bad things that happen on your computer, Josh.
Yeah.
I probably could. But then it becomes a job.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you've been following AI and Sam Altman's firing and rehiring and Q-Star and all that, but they're merging AlphaGo kind of logic where it's learning with LLMs, and that apparently precipitated the problem because they felt that was kind of dangerous on it. That's coming. It's coming in next quarter. And also Google has Gemini, and they have that feature in Gemini coming up next quarter as well.
It's going fairly close to an AGI, and that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Very scary thought.
Bobby Fischer had an IQ of 180. Einstein had an IQ of 155. GPT-4 purportedly has an IQ of 150, and I have an IQ. So who knows what GPT-5's IQ is going to be?
I'm gonna say it simply. There isn't a problem of how much IQ it has. Problem is that AGI will still be in the realm of human intelligence. Problem is it will be able to. It will have the capability and knowledge to learn how to write itself.
Yeah.
And when it does that, it will have the ability to write a better self, which will then write a better self, and so on.
Sure.
We come to exponential learning, which is the scariest.
It's going to be the same with machines as it is with people. It's going to be the same with machines as it is with people, because I'm sure you guys know I've met some like super smart people, like high IQ, genius level people that you would think are just brilliant, but in real life they don't have much common sense, and they typically sometimes don't even really amount to much in life. But you would think. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see this with machines just because, these high IQ machines don't necessarily think that they're not going to be without their problems.
Problem is that this kind of a machine will be able to rewrite itself, its very code. So it will be able to fix any mistake.
But what if it makes a mistake fixing itself? And that's the thing. Well, can you trust it to fix itself?
And it will write itself better and so on. Basically, it will able to learn from its own.
No, this is Skynet all over again.
Yes, that's the
James Cameron told us about this in Terminator, right? I mean, he laid it out there.
Ultron or whatever idea of rogue AI we want.
Well, technically, it's
thousands times more scary.
Well, technically.
They're playing lip service to containment as well. They're going full speed ahead.
Yeah.
The U.S. is doing it because they have to beat China. Google's doing it because they have to beat Microsoft, and then they'll live with the side effects.
Yeah, I mean, Meta's been playing with it for years. I remember a couple of years ago, before AI kind of was the buzzword that it is now. I remember when Meta first started playing with it, they said they had to turn theirs off that they were experimenting with because it started to scare them. Because it was becoming smart so fast that, hey, we need to stop this before,
Google created two separate AIs that they pitted against each other. And from, I don't remember how long, it was actually quite a while since I read that article. I don't know how long it took. They created their own language and communicated in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was scary as fuck.
Yep.
Google tried to put a halt on things initially. Sorry to interrupt. Google tried to put a halt things initially, and then when OpenAI came up, they had to go full bore again on it. So
every big company tried to hold it back as much as possible because they actually are aware of what this means.
Well, I think we were aware of. They were all of them because they were competing against each other. They know it's going to be a big money. It's going to make them billions and billions of dollars. All of them, Meta, Microsoft, all of them. They knew they were pushing it so fast that they were being a little irresponsible. So now they've come to an understanding that they're going to proceed basically all as a group, not necessarily all working on the same thing, but under the same kind of rules, to where it doesn't become unleashed onto the world like
they want the regulation and they want the licensing. That way they can be the only ones that unleash the product. That way they can have all the profits.
Yeah, well, newsflash, Microsoft doesn't need any more profits. Meta really doesn't need any more profits. No. NVIDIA last week, the stock price of NVIDIA now is over $500 a share, which is insane, because when we had this conversation early in the year, you know, when NVIDIA really blew up because of the whole AI thing, its stock price was under $300 a share.
Wow.
It's just insane. So you're talking about $1 trillion company, right? Well, that basically doubled in price
if we're
in less than a year.
If we're talking from an investment standpoint,
yeah,
it makes sense to invest in NVIDIA compared to like Meta, because I'm honestly convinced that Meta's not actually a profitable company.
No, they make a ton of money. Advertising is what they make money on, and they make a lot of money on it.
Somebody that has Facebook advertisements, they are hot garbage and not worth paying for.
Well, they may not be worth what you pay for, but trust me, Meta's still cashing that check.
They lost 46 million on their virtual reality stuff, I think.
Yeah,
46 billion on it.
Yeah, they had to get away from the whole metaverse thing, because that was, you know, this whole virtual reality thing. Yeah, I guess Mark Zuckerberg thought that was really a visionary kind of thing, but that's not something. No one's asking for that kind of virtual reality existence. Whoa, we got
some echo going there, Murray.
Well, yeah,
Murray, your audio is it's acting up again.
Is that they think that they're going to engage people like they did Facebook, just in general. They think that people are going to live in these.
Hey, Murray, your audio is echoing badly. Lots of feedback.
Pipe wire breaking.
Well, we had this problem with Murray last time. But he's been fine through the whole stream until now.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, all of us are having computer problems today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of weird.
I can't.
Compatibility issue.
My problem is that I have no problem so far, but I am on kernel 6.7 RC2.
My problem is everything's broken unless it's a snap package today. So
fresh install.
You know what? I thought about it, but that takes so long because I got to back up all my data. Like I'm gonna spend at least an hour or two investigating the problem before I do a fresh install. Now, if I spend more than a couple of hours, then it gets to the point where, yeah, I probably could have done a fresh install at that point.
And grab the latest ISO from AAG, from Arcos AAG, or use yours. No, you're going to use yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. This installation is probably 3.5 years old at this point.
So it's a good,
there's no telling what's on the file system at this point.
It's a good chance. It's a good chance for you to use your own ISO on your own system.
Can I sing the glory of an operating system?
Yeah, I could start compiling Gen 2 right now.
No, not Gen 2, not Gen 2. Because
that's good, because I wasn't installing Gen 2.
So when I mentioned I'm running Chromium on a RAM disk, my whole operating system is running from a RAM disk. Because you can apparently just do that with NixOS.
Man, you do that with
every time I restart my computer, I reinstall my distro.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if
you're using Ventoy, there's a persistent flag.
I'm not using Ventoy. I'm network booting.
I'll be honest though, if I had to just do a complete nuke and pave at this point, I'm not against the idea of just going back to Debian stable. I know that's weird, having lived the Arch life for so long, but it's gotten to the point where these updates and these issues, I just want no headaches. And Debian, that's what it offers.
Maybe it's time to get off the rolling hype train. Maybe.
Yeah, I fell for the meme, is what it is.
Yep.
Steve's laughing because he fell for it too.
let me pull out the world's tiniest violin just for your Arch installation, because it doesn't sound like it's got much of a future. Unfortunately, this violin is made of plastic. It's non-functional.
Yeah. Well, another thing, you see like these threads on these forums or on Reddit where how long has your Arch installation been up and running? And people, man, I've been running without any issues for 3 years, 5 years. I've even seen people say 10 years. There's no way you've gone that many years and never had to fix some major issues.
If somebody says 12 years, they're lying because there was a system transition in there.
Yeah. Right. Well, even like the major breakages with major versions of Python, there's a lot of things where even if you did fix it, I would say
I'm curious.
You made the bad choice because you should have reinstalled.
Around the whole time period where Arch Linux was forgetting to enable multi-core functionality in the kernel, so your operating system was running as a single-threaded operating system.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what operating system you're running. If you've gone 10 years on the same installation, you probably should have reinstalled by now just for...
It must have been Slackware. That's what it is.
Well, Slackware, yeah. Slackware users are usually not the ones that are vocal about this. It seems like the Arch users want to prove a point. They want to prove, man, that Arch is stable, right? So they're the ones that'll... You ask an Arch user how long they've been up and running, it's always multiple years. Oh, my Arch installation's been perfect for 5 years. Really? Mine breaks every week.
DT, I heard to burst your bubble, but this thing right here, this HTPC right here.
No, I thought that was a beer bottle.
No, well, okay. This here, the thing connected to the TV.
This thing right here will help. I was like, I know, but it's kind of early. It's the morning time here.
But this thing has been running a certain distro, Arch based, like for 4 years.
Is it green?
4 years.
Is it green?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just wanted to check.
4 years.
How green is it? Is it super green or did you turn it purple?
I turned it purple, of course. It's using Zero Linux's theme.
Just wanted to check.
Yeah, well, it's Manjaro, if anybody didn't get the hint.
You know what? I ran Manjaro on my main machine for like a year and a half without issue, and I hopped from it for no reason. I just hopped to be hopping, but I had...
watching the beginnings of the Window Manager series when you were still running Manjaro as the daily driver.
Yeah.
I'm running Manjaro on my laptop daily for a year and a half, 2 years without issues, regular update until a few months ago.
Because everybody will tell you Manjaro is dangerous because they hold packages back, but I can't remember any major breakage the whole time I ran Manjaro.
Same. 4 years,
Ever.
No issues.
Well, I had a locale problem when it was updating KDE. I deleted the locale folder and it went through okay. But then later I had a package conflict. This is package. It was updating KDE. Package X conflicts with the Ludus version of package X. Do you want to replace it or keep it? Both of them failed. So I put it through UChat. It said use Packtree to find what it depends on. It found it was using KDE Connect. So I deleted KDE Connect and did the update. Worked fine. 2 days later, the same thing. Update to KDE. Every package had a package conflict, all 50 of them going through one after another. So I did a search, and you did pacman -syyu -- override quote and fix the problem. But until recently, I've been running Manjaro without any issues. And
for 4 years.
Now it got
4 years and not an issue. I updated it the other day.
And
now the reason
KDE that give me the problem, not.
Well, yeah, KDE. The issue with the KDE, here's what's happening. I've talked to the maintainer on Arch. They had to rename the packages to add a 5 to the packages because they want to keep maintaining the Plasma 5 packages because certain applications still, even after Plasma 6 will be released, there will always be packages still depending on Plasma 5 packages. So they had no choice but to rename them to and he is aware of the surrounding issue it creates, but it's easily workable if you just remove the packages conflicting with, then reinstall it,
or through the override.
Oh, through the override. So there is a fix, but it's more user involved. But unfortunately, it was no other path. There was
I get no. I don't know. I won't say there wasn't any other way forward. I think the way he did it breaks everybody's installation essentially.
Yeah.
I think
solution to this. There's a solution to this. It's called that when they introduced the Plasma packages, they should just call them Plasma 5 from the very start.
Plasma what?
They should have just called everything Plasma 5 from the very start, rather than
just they should have kept the same naming scheme, and then the only people that would have had a problem were the ones that needed the old Plasma 5 packages, but those Plasma 5 packages with the Plasma 5 name in the AUR were those people that for whatever reason still need them because they're the minority. The way they did it is we're changing it for everybody. It just causes headaches for everybody unnecessarily.
It's because when Plasma 6 comes around, the packages will be called without the 5, the previous name that the old packages were called. So, and they can coexist, and the whole beauty of it is they can coexist. That's what they did with Plasma 5. So, if you have the Plasma 5 version, let's say Dolphin 5 and Dolphin 6, well, Dolphin 6 will be called just Dolphin. But the Dolphin 5 with the Plasma 5 will be called Plasma 5, but they can coexist, for example. This is a bad example, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They're not the same binary. The names of the binaries, so they won't conflict with each other.
Yeah. Right. So and they want it's mainly for dependencies. It's like the KDE 5 dependency will exist as alongside the KDE 6 Plasma 6. So you can have Plasma 6 and Plasma 5 coexist.
Okay. Yeah.
It's for old applications that still require the old packages. That's the whole reason he added a 5 to them.
Yeah, I mean, there's still Qt3 and 4 packages running around, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like there's still GTK2 packages.
2 packages, yes.
Yeah. So they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. But what's scaring me right now for the future is when Nikolove, one of the developers over at Plasma, said that they're updating the library that plasmoids use. So a lot of plasmoids most plasmoids need to upgrade to use the new library. If they don't, those plasmoids will break. And I use a lot of plasmoids in my RISEs. So there we go, GNOME extension style breakage.
Welcome.
This has been a very negative stream. We have been going for an hour and 15 minutes, and it has been nothing but the problems that are going on with all of our computers.
Okay, can I say that?
There's going to be potential new to Linux users out there that are thinking about making the switch, watching this and saying, hell no.
Well, for the past 30 minutes, we've been talking about Arch Linux, so that's why.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If they'd have just went Ubuntu LTS or Debian stable or
we could talk about the good news is the fact that I as an individual can now recommend that everybody can run out and buy an Arch GPU and have it function now because Linux 6.6 is now an LTS kernel.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with Arch?
It means that all the mainstream distros like Ubuntu.
It's got the drivers in the kernel.
Yeah, Ubuntu's going to have it. The next version of Debian Stable is going to have it. The next version of Red Hat Linux is going to have the drivers, which basically means that everybody's going to have the drivers in their distro.
Okay, Josh. Okay, send me an Arch GPU. Come on, what you waiting for?
Do you have an address?
Yes.
But since Josh wants to talk about non-Arch distros, we should mention the Fedora 39 was finally released just a couple of weeks ago. Have you guys had a chance to play with it? And specifically, have you guys had a chance to play with DNF5?
Yes.
Because I like their new package manager.
DNF5 for a while.
I like their new package manager a lot.
For a while.
Yeah, it's great.
By the way, DT, it's through your video that I found out about DNF5 being integrated in Fedora 39. You ran a command in your video when you were reviewing Fedora 39. It showed DNF5, but you went through using the regular DNF. I was like, it's right there. It's green. It's blue or green, whatever color that means.
Yeah, I don't read terminal messages.
I was like, it's right there. It's executable. Yeah. Why didn't he run it?
Well, a lot of it too, you get almost numb to terminal messages, especially when you're doing things with sudo. Because a lot of that sudo always asks you, questions. So if you enter a command with sudo, you get programmed not to Murray. Yeah. Anyway, I was saying, yeah, a lot of times when you enter a sudo command, you get programmed to actually not look at the terminal, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I look at the
terminal. Matter of fact, that might be a good reason why some distros prefer to just go with SU, just not fool with sudo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, see, I like Fedora for me, and I use Budgie, so I use their Budgie spin.
They were touting the Budgie spin, yeah, in their press release. They were really hyping up the Budgie spin. I didn't check it out though.
Yeah, so for me, there's a little nuance, and so I use the Windows key and the to search for things, and when I go to try to, but the way that they do it, there's some weird thing where when you type in what you're looking for and you try to hit enter or use the arrow keys, you have to do an extra step than Budgie for other distros. And I just can't, it just in the back of my mind and in the way things should work, it just throws me off too much.
Isn't Fedora Budgie made by the team that makes Budgie?
It's co-maintained with it.
It's not. Would you say they're sister projects?
I know. I know Josh Strobo, which is the guy that's basically in charge of the Budgie project, is a maintainer for the Budgie spin. But I don't know too many of the other people. I wouldn't say that's quite a sister project. It's just that they're helping out with it. Right. Because I believe that there's actually just some standard Fedora guys that are involved with it. Because Budgie has always been in the Fedora repositories. It's just never actually been a spin.
Yeah. But I mean, before it wasn't themed or anything. It was like just
it's still
Budgie from. It's still not.
No, because Fedora doesn't do any theming.
Yeah, well, you're right, because the GNOME edition is just vanilla GNOME.
The only thing that they change the theme on is the GNOME terminal. That way it's not that plain white terminal, and they make it black. That's really...
I know for sure the i3 edition is not themed in any way. It's literally Fedora with the i3 package installed.
Like, I was surprised. I was legitimately surprised that the Sway version ships Swaybar and not just uses the standard Swaybar.
Well, I'm actually surprised by that too, because having taken a look at that i3 version, man, I was shocked. I was like, why are you even shipping this? Because it's literally your Fedora minimal ISO with i3 installed.
It's i3 D menu and URXVT, just like the good old days.
Yeah, it's straight out of 1996, right?
Yeah, just have a 200 meg ISO.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, something to be said for simplicity.
Yeah, and I was thinking if I were to make a Hyperland ISO for me for private use, not public, never gonna be, but just for private use, how big would the ISO be? Like 200 megabytes, or let's say 800 megabytes, because the Arch ISO is 800.
You could probably get it down to 800.
Yeah, because
maybe
what's the Hyperland package? It's just 3 packages, maybe 4.
Well, Hyperland itself is like 3 packages. Then you gotta track all the dependencies backwards, which Wayland is the Wayland package itself is really just a text file with a bunch of rules behind it. So that's gonna be fairly minimal.
They don't ship the regular Wayland, or
there is no such thing as a Wayland server.
Yeah. Wayland no, I'm saying the package. The package.
Yeah. The Wayland package, as you know it, is not a program, because Wayland is not a server. It is just a protocol spec. The server is your compositor.
So I could use so I think what's it called? Hyperland uses is Sway for the
no. Hyperland is Hyperland. Hyperland is also the thing that's running the Wayland server, because Hyperland is the one that's doing everything. It's just following the protocol. It's just following the set of rules and guidelines set by the Wayland team.
So it's just a handful of packages, and then whatever the user selects for a file manager and so on.
Well, that's where you're going to run into issues when you say 800 megs. When you install more than just a few packages,
the NVIDIA driver itself is like 500 megabytes.
Yeah, I mean,
no, the NVIDIA driver will not end up on an ISO.
Have you done a minimal install of Ubuntu, for example?
No.
With GNOME?
No.
Okay, well, if you've ever done that, it doesn't ship with much. Like you got a browser, text editor, terminal, not much else, and they have to ship something that is a little more than a gig, and their distro is really stripped down. You know, you're going to run into problems. Browsers now are so big. I just mentioned how big the Brave browser, for example, has become, but Firefox and Chrome and all of that's going to also fall into this trap.
Yeah, I honestly like TinyCore is like the example of like minimum viable. Here's a GUI. Yeah, it is missing so much in that.
I was about to say viable.
It's quite okay. Viable as in you can get a graphical environment, open up a terminal, and maybe
TinyCore is a good proof of concept, but no one would ever run TinyCore.
Yeah. So,
on purpose.
So like on top, so the next step on top of that would be like EasyOS, which is like the spiritual successor of Puppy Linux. That's like, and that goes from like a 40 megabyte ISO to like a 700 megabyte ISO for EasyOS.
Yeah, it depends on which version because they've got a few different ISOs.
Yeah.
40 megabytes? What do they have?
It runs in RAM. It's because it's running in RAM. It's why it's
well, TinyCore is 40 megabytes. And it is literally just minimum viable. Here's a GUI.
Puppies.
Because Arch, you can also build a minimal Arch ISO.
The reason they strip those ISOs down so much too is they're stripping so much out of the kernel. You wouldn't want to do that. I mean, especially if you're going to distribute this thing, you have to ship a generic kernel. Don't start removing things from the kernel because some of your users need those things.
Yeah, but Arch,
for reference, Ubuntu server without a kernel is 30 megs.
Right.
This is your base you're building off of.
Yeah, but
understand how much they have to do to get to.
Yeah, and Arch has relying Arch if you maintain a distro like me and DT, but if you take the relying and build the stripped down version of Arch, you end up with a 200 meg ISO, barely 200 meg.
But there's no Xorg or anything. Yeah, I mean
ISO, but the 30 megabit ISO is not like a usable environment. It is literally just a network installer.
The reason the base Arch ISO is 200 megs is because they ship an actual Linux kernel, not a gimped Linux kernel like TinyCore. Like everything's in the kernel.
So basically, you can boot that and do whatever you want, what you need to do, like Arch root, for example, and fix your system.
Right.
It's like a rescue thing. And I noticed that a lot of technicians, because I have a computer repair store, I work in there, a lot of people use a rescue USB with Linux on it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Of course. Yeah.
They no longer use this high-end boot disk or Windows 10 PE or Windows 11 PE, those kind of rescue disks. They use Linux, plain Linux. They just boot off of that. They got Clam AV in there because they're scanning Windows, repairing Windows machines. They got Clam AV, they got the Clonezilla, they got all the various tools that help you rescue a Windows system.
Yep.
But it's now the base OS is Linux. All the technicians use Linux as a rescue boot disk. I'm very surprised by that.
I mean,
I'm not. I've been doing it for years. I mentioned that I always have a USB stick of the latest Ubuntu on me. And the reason I have that is not just for me, but, other people's machines. They'll be having computer problems. And you know how many Windows machines I've, booted that Ubuntu USB stick off of? Like when you go to the Geek Squad at Best Buy, I don't know what they use, but I would be really shocked if they weren't using Linux.
Yeah, but
for a lot of
the reason it was a surprise to me is because we're in Lebanon. I've never heard a single person use Linux in Lebanon, and when I asked that person, he gave me his USB and I booted it and it was Linux rescue disk, I was like, that's Linux. He was like, no, that's Windows. No, that's Linux. I opened terminal and I showed him the kernel and I showed him that it was Linux. He was like, I don't know. I just use it to repair computers.
Yeah, in the chat, somebody was asking me, the Geek Squad still a thing? I think it is. I actually haven't been into a Best Buy in a while, but
yeah, it is now a yearly subscription of $200. But yes, it's still a thing.
Huh.
$200 subscription.
That's crazy.
Yep.
No,
please don't sign me up.
No, that's separate. That's their total membership.
The Best Buy in my area only does a subscription thing. They don't handle drop off repairs anymore. They
oh really?
Yeah, they will exclusively sign you up for a subscription.
Interesting.
Well,
Josh, are you sure you're not in the middle of La La Land?
I'm in the middle of Ohio, so whatever we say here is the future because Ohio is.
That's why your Geek Squad is trying to get that $200. You can't go anywhere else because you're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, we can either fix your computer for this $200 subscription or drive an hour and a half to the next town.
Yeah, I mean, I just drive an hour and a half to the nearest Micro Center. I buy whatever part I need to replace, and then I reinstall my operating system because, heaven forbid, I just happen to do that every time I reboot now.
No.
Well, I'm used to hour and a half drives because when I used to be in Abu Dhabi, I used to live in Abu Dhabi. We used to go visit Dubai every weekend, and it's an hour and a half drive every weekend. So to me, 1 hour and a half is like 2 minutes. So, okay, I'm coming to Ohio.
All right.
I figured Josh would have already hopped to Fedora 39. Why weren't you on Nix after the latest Fedoras dropped?
So I was very briefly on Fedora 39 while I was testing around BigPod's image. I imported my wireframer config, and then I made sure. Hold on, there's more. I made sure the syntax was proper and everything. And I had audio on like RPM packages, but not flat packs. So then I started messing around with like the portal because this sounds like it's a portal issue.
You want to beat me?
You would think, yeah.
Yeah, it's just natural to assume. So we restart the user session just in case we get the root out of the way first. No change. So then we just open up our wonderful terminal and we just start reinstalling things for the hell of it. And eventually we kind of just got around to just bricking the entire system entirely. So then it's just like, okay, well that's fine. We'll just go ahead and try something else. So let's see here. I have like notes on this actually, like all the distros I've installed in the past 72 hours.
Mm-hmm. And in the chat, I got a super chat from Alex at the Linux Tube. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Why isn't he on the stream? Wasn't he on last month with us?
I think
he may be having Linux problems too, like the rest of us.
So I jumped off of BigPod's Fedora image to base Fedora, and I set up a minimal install of Fedora through the wonderful Everything installer because I just don't feel like using desktop environment. So I set up Sway, and then I find out that GreetD, my login manager of choice, still does not start properly on Fedora. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. It's not an SE Linux issue. The systemd service is enabled, so it should theoretically be starting, but it's just not starting. And I'm like, okay. So we hop off of that. So then we reinstall Gentoo. Which that's like half a day.
Yeah, well, that's your second mistake there.
Yeah. And then find out that XDG desktop portal is still horribly broken on Gentoo, which occasionally I like to record a video and upload it. Which
the portals are usually broken on Arch too. I'm just throwing that out there, so it's not.
Yeah. But what it turns out that Gentoo is not shipping a configuration file properly in the portal. So there's a patch you can apply to fix that, which I didn't find out until after I left, and then. I discovered that OpenMandriva got a new release, so I installed OpenMandriva because that's one of the few distros I think is actually pretty cool that it still exists. So
And you sunk Zany into your open Mandriva.
Oh, that was before this whole weekend happened.
I'm having Linux problems, and your solution was first, let me hop to Gentoo. Then your next solution was hop to Open Mandriva.
Yeah,
like,
yes.
Do you not see the problem here?
When I installed Open Mandriva, it was less than an hour after their new release. So of course the repositories still weren't working for the new release. So I couldn't update the system. And when I could pull in an update, there were packages that weren't quite working because they're still migrating the repositories over. So I switched off their stable branch up to the rolling branch, proceed to immediately break it because rolling release. So we hop off of Open Mandriva after
and you went to Open Indiana. That's going to be my next guest.
Not Open Indiana. We tried FreeBSD first.
Okay, so it was a Unix-like operating system. It was something non-Linux. Okay, I knew this was coming.
Yeah, we tried the FreeBSD. FreeBSD, of course, did not even want to boot on my hardware. Well, it's like, okay, that's fair.
FreeBSD is known to be finicky.
Yep. So we hop off of FreeBSD. We go to install the OpenSUSE and find out that OpenSUSE is refusing to install right now because the repositories that are linked in their net install image just does not exist. So it's like, okay, well, let me grab like the big giant 4 gigabit ISO. Oh, HTTP errors. Okay, so I can't download that one. They don't have a torrent download for it. Okay, so I guess we're not going to install OpenSUSE. So and then I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know what's going on.
It's gonna be a while.
Then I got an email, and I'm opening up the email, and it's yet another guy sending me a Nix configuration because I was on like an episode of the Linux Cast a couple weeks back, and I said people to send me Nix configurations. They're like, this guy's doing a lot of cool stuff in here, and he's running NixOS over a RAM disk, and it's like I didn't even know you could do that. So then I spent the past 12 and a half hours doing that. And I still don't know anything about what a flake is, and I still haven't yet to configure home manager, so I'm doing everything wrong still.
Yeah.
Okay, see? You put the freaking Big Pot to sleep.
Yeah, I think we all knew where the story was going when he started the whole distro hopping to, let me just say, not the most reliable and stable operating systems.
Okay.
And I say operating systems because some of them were not even Linux operating systems.
Thankfully,
did you try Haiku by any chance?
I'm still not brave enough to try Haiku, but thankfully, the wonderful
Haiku actually is pretty stable.
Yeah, the wonderful thing about my desktop is that like I treat every install on it as temporary and disposable, so it's fine.
Yeah, on Haiku, you do have access to a web browser, and there is an Emacs port for Haiku as well. So
okay.
You'd probably be okay on Haiku.
I could probably make it work.
Yeah, you probably could.
Josh, when you use Nix, do you use at the command line, do you use nix-env or nix space profile?
I don't use either, and I just edit the configuration files because that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, okay. So you don't. How do you update packages on?
I configured automagic updates.
Automatic.
So now whenever
using the OS itself.
And and because my root file system is on a RAM disk, it pulls in the latest and greatest packages anytime I reboot my computer anyway.
Are you doing like a cron job or something for
system detimer?
System detimer. That's what I would. Yeah.
The Nix configuration actually makes configuring system detimers stupid easy. It's actually pretty interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, here's a variable I would like to enable this. So it's just going to naturally write the service file for you. And then I want it to run this command, and then I want it to run this date, and that's it. It's almost as easy as writing a cron job.
Well, while you were talking, Josh, thank you for talking for this long because you gave me enough content to last 3 months at least on my YouTube channel.
You're welcome.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, if you want some fun content, hop to Open Mandriva
and I'm stealing distro hacking name, and I'm going to use it on my channel.
Sure, go right ahead.
Fun thing about NixOS, it has 6 ways to install software. Only 4 of them are permanent.
Yep, and only 2 of them are correct.
Yes. It's stupid.
Well, actually, 3 of them are correct. Not just 2. Because it just depends if you're using flakes or not.
One of the temporary ones is correct for certain use cases.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Josh a weird question.
Yeah.
How easy is it to integrate the Nix package manager into Arch?
You just run the shell script and
You just
You just run the determinate installer.
Yeah.
I think that they might even package it in the AUR.
It's there. It's already packaged up.
In the
I've
AUR?
got it in Manjaro.
No, I'm pretty sure. I don't have it currently installed, but I've installed it before. And I know
Wait a minute. So I just installed the Nix package manager from the AUR, and I have
do a search for Nix. There's even an Arch wiki page for the Nix package manager. I've read it before. That's why I know it's there.
Let's see. I don't see a package called just Nix. So
Nix-git. Yeah, Nix-git.
Yeah, Nix-git. Okay. Yep. There it is. A purely
If you
functional
wanna
package
use
manager.
If you
Yeah,
wanna use
because I found out earlier.
And if you want, Geeks-git is also there. I've installed it before too. Again, not lately, but I have played with them on Arch before.
Same things just by the GNU guys.
Yeah. It's the GNU version of Nix.
Okay.
If you want to use Nix to create app images, you need to use the version that has Nix space profile as the commands at the command line, not Nix-env. I was using Nix-env for years, and then it blew up, and I changed to the Nix profile, and that's the one that has the ability to create app images.
Well, I was surprised to see apt in the AUR. There's
Pacman's also in the AUR.
Yeah, don't install apt. You're gonna.
No, it's I talked to one of the staff at Arch, and he was like, those package managers, you can find apt, you can find the NixOS package manager, you can find you can find everything, but those are there for LFS and for LFS when you want to build your own distro. It's all those for distro builders.
Yeah, apt-get. Let's see. Does it still have a warning on it? No, it doesn't have a warning, but it is flagged out of date. So I would be careful with it.
But most normal users, or not the most, every normal user doesn't have a use for it.
Yeah, those are made for people who build distros from scratch. Those are there for that.
Yeah.
I think the zipper package is not set up with the OpenSUSE repos, but it's actually set up with the Fedora repos. So if you want to install your Fedora packages using the OpenSUSE package manager, you can do that on Arch Linux.
Yeah. And there is I don't know the exact page. There is a page somewhere for those weird package managers, and the Arch guys basically tell you that those are there. Don't use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Gentoo also has like in their wiki too.
Yeah.
DistroBox would be the
DistroBox is amazing. DistroBox
does not solve the issues.
Oh, it does.
It doesn't solve the developer issues.
Actually, it does.
They released a new one. They released a new one this morning. They made it work. It's much faster now.
Some of DistroBox for while now I can tell it solves developer issues.
Well, DistroBox is all the new rage. This is another one that's the flavor of the month as far as every new Linux distro now is using DistroBox. Have you noticed that? They're all
good.
Like that's where they're going.
I personally I don't include the DistroBox out of the box. DistroBox out of the box. I include a script in my tool, and I have a list of distros users can install, and Gentoo is in the list. Of course, it will always be in the list for those crazies out there, and for Josh. But yeah,
he's trying real hard to get me to install his distro.
No,
he's trying.
No,
distro. I immediately remove home/.configure.
Yeah, I'm reading DistroWatch, this release announcement for Open Mandriva 5. Looks like it's a nice distro. I'm glad that I don't have to try it now. Somebody already took one for the team.
If you really want to watch someone struggle, watch Zany's video.
He had issues too, so that's two of you guys.
You could have booted.
Yeah, so that's good. I've got confirmation, so it's not just.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for that because my first Linux distro was Mandrake.
Yeah,
that goes back
20 years. Yeah, I mean when Mandrake died, what 2002? Yeah, 2002 or something. Yeah, I was.
So the reason why that happened is because Mandriva's packaging philosophy is that they will never ship a Git version of SDDM. So they were sticking to the old release version of SDDM because, that was the release that was in their stable repository, of which that version of SDDM is hardware accelerated and only tracks off of one GPU chip. Now, the reason why Zany had issues is because, he's using a Ryzen GPU with an integrated APU, as well as an AMD graphics card.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So it confused SDDM, which immediately told the X server that wanted to render on the GPU that he wasn't actively using.
Ooh, so SDDM dash Git. He needed SDDM dash Git then.
The only solution to that would be that if he git cloned SDDM source file and ran sudo make install, just like you're never supposed to do.
Well, could you just install a different display manager?
Yeah, you can do that.
I mean, unless you.
And he likes Lie, and he's a fan of Lie.
I mean, there's a million login managers you could do.
Yeah, that's their newest release actually is shipping like the latest and greatest version of SDDM, so it's all fixed now. It's all fixed.
Oh, okay. That's why he had good luck installing it on.
The virtual machine. That's why it worked.
Yeah, you could always just go XDM if you want a minimal login manager that looks ugly and outdated.
I asked Zany what display manager he likes to use. He was like, I don't like to use any. There are people out there who don't use display managers, login managers. Sorry, login managers.
Log into the terminal and then hook a bash profile script to automatically start their.
But I mean, it. So basically, as soon as you enter your credentials, it will launch. Propel you into the desktop.
Well, I mean, you enter a command, you'll start X, name of window manager, and it'll go, because you've already scripted it in your profile or xinit RC or whatever file you're using.
So just run.
So you can have multiple desktop environments and window managers, and when you enter the start X command, you can just specify what you want to run from there.
Oh, you have to run the start X command after entering the login.
Yeah, but
if you have multiple window managers installed, you do. If you only have one, then you can just have it automatically log in.
Because that's what Slackware does. Slackware doesn't ship a display manager at all. It hooks a start X script. So when you log into Slackware, you just type in start XFCE or start KDE, because you're on Slackware, you have them all.
Well, let's not start making that the standard. That's what Slackware does. It's like, whoa.
So basically, the safest route is not to ship a login manager.
Nah, just ship the login manager. That way people can actually use your.
I wouldn't say it's the safest route, but can you get by without it? Sure.
Yep.
I will say, as somebody that has a ton of window managers installed and will switch between them all the time, it is convenient to have a login manager installed.
Yeah. I thought so. But when I do my Hyperland experiment, I want to see which login manager to go with. I'm thinking, since Hyperland, Lie. It's geeky, and Lie is geeky.
I have a solution for you.
Lie, I thought was buggy, because I've had people report to me that they've had issues with it, but I don't know. As a personal experience, I haven't installed it on any of my physical machines. Or
which one, Josh? You said
GreetD.
Greet
D.
D.
Yep, it's a display management daemon that you can then hook into any form of graphical manager you want. So, like, say, a Wayland compositor that will act as a temporary login session for you, and then you can use hook scripts like GTK greet, regreet, or 2egreet. It's like GreetD is essentially just like a modern version of what LightDM was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So you install greetd, and then you can install different greeters to go with it.
The greeters are the graphical ones. greetd is just the daemon.
Yeah, greetd is just a daemon.
Okay, I'll try that. We'll see where that goes. But I'm eager to finally do what I keep preaching that others do. So I can't wait. It's going to be the first week of January. We've got some time, but it's going to be just Zany and I messing around, me fumbling around in Hyperland.
And then the week after that, you're going to be messing around with Wayfire because you want your Windows to burn.
Yeah.
Well, if he has that with Plasma, he's going to correct you on that. Plasma has the burning Windows.
Yeah.
But Wayfire has them all in a more efficient manner.
Okay.
Well, it's cooler, I will admit.
Yeah, it's definitely cooler.
Yeah.
But Josh, after Zany, because it's a weekly live, it's going to be every Wednesday there'll be a live. So the next live it's going to be with you.
Oh, I'm finding this out now. Okay.
And it's going to be me messing with Gentoo.
Be prepared for a long one.
Well, I don't care as long as.
You know what? I warn people about this all the day. If you're wanting people to actually watch your content and enjoy it, compiling things is not the most riveting content.
Oh no, I have it. I have.
That's why you run a live stream with an open chat room that anybody can join at any time.
My plan for a stream is just straight up compiling, and I leave my computer alone.
Hey, just have it compiling. Just have that terminal output, and you walk away. Yeah, but leave the stream up.
I've seen the ones where they type at the terminal, their program, and there's no audio, no nothing. You just follow along what they're typing at the terminal.
Oh, yes.
I can't imagine anything
more riveting.
I remember watching those old YouTube tutorial videos where people would like open up Notepad and just type in really big letters about what they're doing. They would just type in like, "Hello, my name is this. This is a guide on this." And they would be the slowest, most excruciating typers that you would ever see.
Well, Josh, I have a surprise for you. It's not going to be the Gentoo stream you think it's going to be.
It's not going to be running through DistroBox, is it?
No. Why would I run it through DistroBox? No, but it's going to be a precompiled version of.
Are you going to SSH into another machine and run it?
So you're going to use the Gentoo preconfigured binary repository.
Gentoo with Calamares.
Oh, so Ben.
Oh, okay.
So a pre-built distro using Gentoo. It's just going to be a stream.
That's an interesting stream. That's actually better content than what I thought you were going to do. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
What I'll be struggling with, or Josh here teaching me, is the package management, the stuff, how you do stuff. The other name that Matt called it. What was the other thing called that Matt used to use?
The Red Core one.
Yeah,
Red Core. Yeah,
Red Core. They had something called
Sisyphus, I think it was.
Sisyphus.
Yeah.
Sisyphus. Yeah, we'll be doing Sisyphus some fuss because
not
fuss
Sisyphus.
means an Arabic means fart.
Okay, so this is what you do with Gentoo, by the way. Don't use Red Core anymore because there's no point in it now because Gentoo has their own binary package repository. So whenever you run your merge command, you just run -- get pkg, and that will grab the binaries for you.
So I can.
And they are all built assuming a KDE environment because I know that you're a big fan of KDE.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is just set your Gentoo profile to desktop profile with KDE Plasma.
KDE and all its flags and everything, or
it's automatically all set for you. You just emerge the package.
Yeah.
So I can. So something that's not going to take out 650.
Well, it would be funny if it used the Calamares installer and it went through the same. You click OK 3 times, and then it still compiled, and you had to wait like 8 hours for the kernel to compile and the browser to compile.
Yeah, nobody would ever install that distro because the installer freezes. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, you would have to drop down the little terminal output. That way you get.
Or just have Calamars execute shell scripts. It's just
or actually, it would be better if it didn't have the terminal output. It just had the progress bar, and you think it's stuck at 0%. No, it's moving. It's just moving really, really slow.
It reaches 100% in 3 days.
Well, guys, we're coming to the end here, and I have to get out of here on time. I got an appointment I got to keep. Murray, I know we had some audio issues. Are you there? Would you like to share any tips or tricks this week?
Well, just one good news. My Manjaro's on my laptop and using every day for a year and a half without any issues until the recent KDE issues. I'm not using development, but it's working beautifully on the laptop. Your problem, the AI suggested you might refresh the GPG keys as well. You don't have to downgrade. You could probably try refreshing. And
well, here's the thing. When I use the Unix password store, the pass command, I can actually get my passwords to things.
Okay.
Using that program. So that's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to investigate it this afternoon. I'm going to come back here and spend probably an hour or two. What I might do is I might just take the entire package list from my home computer. Because it's basically the same programs. Only difference is I've got NVIDIA installed on my home computer and this AMD computer, but pretty much everything else is the same list of programs, and see if doing that will fix the problem. Because I bet I removed some orphaned package or something that wasn't really an orphaned package.
Yeah, I would recommend against that. This orphan package is always sometimes might be a dependency of something.
Oh, trust me, I've seen it recommend me quote orphaned packages, because Pacman will literally say, here's a list of packages that are no longer needed.
Yep.
They're not dependencies, anything, and it'll be like main programs, like it'll be Firefox or something, like it'll be something crazy. I was like, that's not an orphan package.
Yeah, trust me, it's not.
Yeah.
I've seen MPV orphan the MP4 format.
Yeah.
Like that.
I've seen Kden Live orphan MLT. It's like, how can you run without MLT?
I technically can, we just can't do anything.
You just can't edit video, right? Continue, Murray.
Last thing is there's a good sci-fi movie, The 13th Floor. If you missed it,
13th Floor.
Available on YouTube now for free. It's part mystery, detective, and sci-fi, and it's an excellent movie.
I'm not familiar with that one. Yeah. Who stars in it?
Zac Efron, I think.
I can't remember offhand.
But I will check it out because I do like sci-fi horror kind of stuff. The 13th
Blade Runner-ish, but with the future and the past.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'll check that out. I might watch that this evening. Thanks for the tip.
Recently, the 13th Floor.
13th Floor. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of free movies now on YouTube, and ones that have been AI enhanced to 4K.
Yeah, well, we're not far away from full feature length films that are completely AI.
Yeah.
They were written by AI. They're acted by AI.
No.
The music has been composed by AI.
Hollywood ones won't be.
The
Hollywood ones won't be. The human will still have to take the fault for it.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Murray. Josh, give us the last word.
So if you're going to be like me and mount your NixOS on a RAM disk, make sure that you set up your Nix /Etsy to be a mutable or like be a permanent installation. So yes, you still need a hard disk somewhere, but you can totally mount it over NFS if you really want. So. And then if you're going to be setting up a Pixie boot like I have, just remember that it's secretly a pain in the butt, even though netboot.xyz is supposed to make that a little bit easier. It really doesn't.
I'll keep that in mind. Big Pod, give us the last word.
Nice last word. Thank you.
Well said.
I'm streaming again. I'm looking for a job, and this week check out my shorts. I'll be uploading some on YouTube, my YouTube channel.
All right, we'll be watching for that.
That'll be horrible. So enjoy.
Wait, you know what? Shorts, can they be good? I'm not sure.
I don't understand the format, so
yeah, it's weird because you can't really do much in 59 seconds or less. But
I mean, you can make a joke.
That's about it. Yeah. And typically, though, the ones that are popular, the ones I get recommended, are hot chicks, scantily dressed, and like, okay, I mean, this is cool, but it's not really. There's nothing informative about this video.
Well, I'll let you know when I start making my own shorts because I'll be trying my hand at them.
Yeah.
So waking up in the morning, all the hair like all over the place. I'm gonna say, morning. Don't know what to tell you, but have a great Linux day. See ya.
Let's get a last word from.
Has 70 views.
No, I've never made one, not a proper one, but maybe one day.
I made a short about a hammer, and it got like 3,000 views in the first hour. Like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get a last word from Aliens. I'm not sure if he's mic'd up. He's mic'd up. Give us a last word. If not, we can move on.
I'm not convinced that aliens.
No mic. That's fine. Not a big deal. You can just hang out with us on these streams. You don't have to be on camera or on a microphone if you don't want to. George, give us a last word.
Hey, thanks for having this again. I missed last month, but I'm glad to be back. And then have had some really good luck running Tumbleweed as my main production machine with AMD hardware, both for the GPU and the CPU. So I've been pretty happy so far. I install lots of things and it seems to be okay. So I'm happy.
Very cool. Thank you, George.
Yep.
Dark Zero. Last word.
Last word. Well, look out for changes in the Zero Linux realm. YouTube channel coming back, as I said, with a lot of content planned, with also awesome technical stuff behind the scenes happening. And reminder, Zero Linux or Zero G and Zero XFCE are dead officially. Again.
Oh, it's just KDE?
Just KDE again, because I realized that I've been putting myself in this hole where I added more work to myself. Like, I've given myself more work than I can handle, and I gave promises that I couldn't keep. So a lot of restructuring is happening behind the scenes in the Zero Linux world. So look out for a different revamped Dark Zero, me. I'll be more welcoming of all your suggestions and no more dismissive attitude. And more to come on my YouTube channel starting 2024. All the planning is happening now, starting now. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Just quickly in the chat, Jay Cameron, he mentions that GhostBSD's been getting updated every few weeks. GhostBSD is a cursed operating system. If you can get that thing to work, man, more power to you. I've tried to make it work for me on at least 2 occasions and failed miserably. So. Other than that, let me get my my final word in, which is thanking all the guys here on stream with me, as well as any that were here and dropped off. And of course, the YouTube chat, you guys were great. I know we didn't get to a lot of questions and comments from you guys, but it looks like at least you had a good time over there. Let's thank the patrons. I'm going to show some names on the screen.
Look at these guys, just
all of them
giving people money.
Look at these folks. And other than that, I really don't have anything to say. What should we go with? Our favorite desktop environment? Full desktop environment. Go.
No.
I'm on Sway.